Hi everyone! Today I am participating in Tag Tuesday with the Behind the BookTube Tag, which I was recently tagged in by Gina Stanier Books, and this video is going to be completely unscripted, just going off of my impromptu observations from the list of questions, so hopefully I will not be rambling too much. Question number 1. What has surprised you the most about BookTube, both in a good way and in a bad way? Well, in a good way, I've become aware of many books which I otherwise might not have learned about or might not have otherwise known existed until many years in future from readathons and seeing people mention them and stuff like that. So that's always good to build your personal literary canon, your library books you're interested in, your personal favorite genres, and even sometimes reading outside of your comfort zone. So obviously you'd never want to stay in the same, oh, these are the books I like and the authors I like, I'm never going to explore anything different, or I don't know this book and I'm not gonna think it's good because I just don't think it would be my style. But sometimes just step outside of your comfort zone. And obviously some of the books I read are in my comfort zone, but they're just not books I was aware of otherwise. So obviously it's just good to expand whatever just in the comfort zone and outside of the comfort zone. And the second part of the question, in a bad way, it's just kind of frustrating to not have the channel grow as much. I mean, I'm not saying anyone has deliberately been rude to me, of course not, God forbid, but it's just it's really hard to sometimes get your foot in the door and become noticed. And I know that can take a long time for many people. And when people, I mean, I realize people have the best intentions and they're not trying to they for this was real for them, so maybe they're unconsciously projecting onto other people. They say, oh, don't worry, you'll just have lots and lots of dozens of best friends within a couple of weeks, or by the time your channel is a year old, oh, you'll have at least 500 if not 1,000 subscribers. I'm really happy that happened for you, but unfortunately that just doesn't happen to everybody. Some of us just takes a really long, slow process of building our channels and our communities and such. Question number 2. How do you balance reading and booktube with the rest of your life? And I do feel big reason I haven't really been particularly well integrated into either booktube or authortube thus far is because I have chosen to prioritize my writing, which I have long believed is my calling in life, over pretty much everything. So basically that means I don't necessarily have hours and hours and hours of time every day to watch and comment on videos. And I do realize that is kind of holding me back from making a lot more friends on both of these two intertwined niches of booktube and authortube. But I do try to do watch my favorite YouTubers videos and comment on them regularly, and obviously work on my own videos and edit them and such like that, and think of story ideas while also taking time for my reading and for my writing. So I guess you just have to strike the perfect blend for you, and sometimes it'll obviously frequently will change at certain points of your life. Like for example, you're a full-time student, or you're out in between jobs, or you're just working part-time, or you've taken time off from work to become a stay-at-home parent, or you're a full-time artist, or I personally am a full-time writer at the moment. You just working from home, so you have more time to devote to these things. So you just have to choose what to prioritize at any given time in your life, and just make the decision that's personally best for you. Question number 3. Have you ever thought about starting a Patreon? Well, many years ago, I believe this was probably, I would guess 2012ish, maybe 2011. My now ex, thank God he is an ex, and I never made the mistake of marrying that dude. He made me, I don't think it was it wasn't Patreon. I don't know if that existed then. It was probably GoFundMe, or I forget the name of the other major competitor to GoFundMe. And he encouraged me to start one for, basically at the time I was still trying for traditional publication for the first book which I had published, in Jakob Flew the Fiend Away. This is far from the first book I ever wrote, but it was the first book which I ever published. And he was telling me, oh, you should start a GoFundMe, or whatever the platform was. Oh, you can raise money, and you can give away presents, sneak previews of this book and the other book, and you can raise money for your cover artist and a line editor, and just a professional book tour, and packages for example, there are virtual blog tours where historical fiction or just general book reviewers will just review your book and just build your shout out your blitz team, they call it, release day blitz, people building up to it, and on the release day itself they'll do all these blog posts saying, oh, this is the cover reveal, or oh, my friend just released a book and here's what it's about, and I'm encouraging you guys to check it out too, but I just like felt it was kind of like too much work and not really worth it. I've always been, kind of a lone wolf anyway, and I did obviously ultimately choose indie publication, but like I wouldn't be opposed at all in future to starting a Patreon, particularly because being an indie author, it can like well, I mean, obviously it doesn't have to cost you through the rough at all, but sometimes depending on what you're using, like for example, I was using professional cover artist for a couple for this one cover, but sometimes just using like art supplies to make your own cover, just buying the software to design your own covers at home and stuff, that can like cost a little bit extra. But I just really I have to, obviously will make that decision in future if I am going to be starting a Patreon or something like that for my career as a writer. But for my the booktube side of me, I don't personally think I would ever start a Patreon, but never say never. Number 4. Have you made any mistakes on BookTube? I definitely feel like I've been making mistakes from the jump since I started regularly making content. Again, coming up on 2 years ago, my 2-year anniversary of making regularly content on BookTube and AuthorTube is the 9th of September. I can't believe it's been so long already, although my first videos are from 2011 and 2012. I obviously had a really long break, and I feel like when I see other people with much more popular channels than mine saying, oh, I was building a community long before I actually began making content, so I had 100 plus subscribers by the time I made my first video, or they'll say like, oh, I started with this like tag video or this common popular thing. So I'm thinking maybe I just really shot myself in the foot from the jump by just not like leading with more like common interest, like mainstream general purpose videos. I basically just went right to the like content only, like people like and I don't think it would be that outside of the realm of mainstream, but just starting with content that might be a little too like intense or not particularly general interest for like the general interest booktube community. So maybe I just should have started a little bit differently, and I can't help feeling maybe I missed a critical window early on when I could have still had a chance of people like discovering my channel, instead of people feeling, oh, that person doesn't have many views or comments, why should I click on a video by someone I barely know from Adam? I'll just continue watching my best friends channels. I mean, obviously I give you guys the joy of your friend group, but it just kind of is like kind of disappointing to like feel like I missed the chance to really become a part of the community early on, and now people think, oh, maybe that person enjoys being a lone wolf or doesn't really care about joining a larger friend group or things like that. And obviously constantly feel like I'm making mistakes. I didn't know how to edit at all in the beginning. I was like basically chained to the YouTube editor for like editing out frames, and of course, since you have to know the exact frame to like start and stop the edit at, I inadvertently edited out like a couple of like more than a couple of seconds sometimes just of the thing I wanted to edit out for various reasons. And then when I finally got iMovie, I didn't know how to do much editing at all either. I didn't know how to insert pictures at first, and then like I thought, oh, you have to make a little video consisting of the pictures. I didn't realize you could just insert the still pictures, and then I didn't realize you could actually resize the pictures to their actual size or to fit in the screen, or that you could take out frames, or how to do that properly, or how to put text on the screen so it only lasts up there for like a couple of frames instead of lasting for the whole video, when you only really needed to like correct an error as you were speaking for like 5 seconds or something like that. And just like so many mistakes I feel I've made for people just not wanting to get to know who I am and take a chance and click on videos by this stranger. Number 5. Do you have any advice for new booktubers? Well, I'm the one who still needs advice, even though I've been making videos regularly on BookTube and AuthorTube for almost 2 years now. Like how do you guys build a community and like really be integrated into a friend group and like get noticed, and how do you like make thumbnails that look more interesting than mine? I realize I well, at least hopefully I have come a long way in my thumbnail game and stuff like that. Like at first, like I kept forgetting I had to shoot a thumbnail, so I would have to get back into the like not the like the dress or the outfit I wore for the video, and like hold up the book and make sure the lighting is good and stuff like that. But in some, I just like just forgot to like go back at all, and I just figured like why bother? Like the views have flatlined at this point anyway. No one's probably going to go back and click on that video anyway. So like tell me about what you guys use for the thumbnail software. Is it worth it for like the premium or pro packages on like software like Canva and stuff like that, or if I can continue just get away using the basic editing and preview on the Mac. I've been using the Mac for since 19 85, so it's basically been almost 40 years now. I can barely believe it. All the way back since OS 1.0. Yes, I really, really am that old. Number 6. What are your thoughts on the YouTube algorithm? I go back and forth with, like regularly checking it or not. At this point, I don't really look at it too much because it's, kind of depressing. But obviously, when when I look at the algorithm, it's like I'm obviously doing something wrong. Do I have such a low click through rate, such a low watch time, like a low number of comments, like some people even unsubscribed from some videos. So like, what am I doing wrong? Are people like annoyed because I don't jump right into the video and start talking as fast as a freaking carnival barker for 5 minutes and never say hello or goodbye or anything, like giving a personal connection like that? I'm not like being hyperbolic. I mean, I like his content. I watch this guy Nick Nimmin sometimes, and he generally has good advice about how to improve your channel. But like, he pretty much starts every video by saying, "Hey, today we're talking about XYZ, and we're starting right now." It's like, and they just like, oh, if you don't have your hook within the first 10 seconds, or if you dare say hello or provide an introduction, oh, people have already stopped watching your video, and you don't want to do that because you're catering your videos to the lowest common denominator, like TikTok, low attention span generation. It's like, seriously, it's not my problem if you can barely sit still for like 20 seconds and you find it boring and annoying and DNF a video because someone dares to provide like a personal connection or a cute little short story leading directly into the topic, or just like providing relevant background or something like that. Like, for example, when I did my recent video on the first 2 books on the Ladies of Summerhill series by Carolyn James, I do highly recommend that series. It's some Christian historical romance. I did give like maybe like a minute or two about the Newport, Rhode Island summer colony and like the rich swells who like to have their summer vacations there. So that's like absolutely obviously relevant to the topic of the series and the books. I wasn't just like rambling. Like, for example, I would consider off topic rambling in a video. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't like do this like book review, or I haven't uploaded this content I was promising for last like 3 weeks. Oh, but my mother was sick and I had to help her in the hospital, or we were unexpectedly called way out of town on business, or we were taking a vacation to Cape Cod, and like I'm going to give 5, 10, like 20 minutes plus talking about this. Like, if that wasn't the topic promised in the title of your video, why do we care about that? Just get right to the point. But I don't consider like relevant like background information or personal connection for like a minute or two like rambling. It's just, people just have so many like different priorities. I just cannot understand the young generation. I was born at near the very tail end of Gen X, so I just kind of feel like a dinosaur. Number 7A. How do you decide what videos to make? Well, I do have a list of like topics. I still haven't gotten to many of them, particularly for my future Dantan content. A lot of my videos are drawn like from blog posts, and obviously they're not exactly the same script as in the blog post. Like, for example, I will frequently like say other things that come to mind during the making of the video that like just didn't occur to me while I was writing the blog, or there were other things I deliberately left out of the blog post because in the interest of word count, my personal current sweet spot is between about like 450 at the lowest. I usually don't write nearly that short blog post to about like 800ish, maybe 900, 1,000 words at the top. But my personal sweet spot in there is like about like 700 to 800 words. So obviously when I'm making a video, I can definitely don't have to really worry about the word count nearly so much, and just like basically other things that come to me as I'm making that video. But I do feel sometimes looking back on the blog post, oh, could I really fill up that much space talking about this? Maybe I should just like do something entirely new. But there's always new books I'm reading and different like writing advice, and about my own books I'm writing, just like all sorts of odds and sods like that. Yeah, the name of my channel that comes from a Who album from 1974. They called it Odds and Sods because it really was their odds and sods, basically like stuff that was left in the vault. They hadn't released it yet, so basically like scraps they hadn't put on albums or on singles or B-sides like that. And 7B, are you ever overwhelmed with video ideas? Well, sometimes I have difficulty deciding which which blog post I should turn into a video, or which video idea I have outlined on my little list of like things to do in future I should do, or just like deciding back and forth between that. And I do take little breaks every now and then, particularly for the NaNoWriMo months, the camp months in April and July, and the big month in November. That's the main NaNoWriMo event. And there's also, I do JunoWriMo in June, which is not affiliated with Nano, it just has a very similar idea, but definitely there are lots of videos I would like to do in future, but sometimes unfortunately I just feel maybe I should hold back on this because if people aren't watching most of my videos or commenting anyway, why would they want to click on that video? Like I should just maybe save it until I have a much bigger audience and I'm more popular instead of like wasting my time on a video that will just get buried by the algorithm and have like flatlined at like 30 views or whatever within 24 hours, and no one's ever gonna probably notice that video again. Number 8, have you ever regretted posting a video? Well, I did have to make one video private last September in 2022. I was kind of embarrassed by how it turned out because I was doing a little sneak preview of my recitation of Canto 2 of Inferno in the original medieval Florentine Tuscan Italian. That was Dante's 701st death anniversary last year, and I obviously I knew the lines up to what I had read. This was basically where let me see. Yeah, right up here. This is as far as I knew. This was like 70 some lines or whatever, like 60ish. I don't remember the line number off the top of my head, but I obviously knew those lines very well when I recited them. But it's just like I had to kept like doing it over and over again. I just kept getting cold feet and messing up and forgetting and blanking on lines I knew perfectly well. So and I almost made it to almost the very end finally on my last like attempt during that video, and like I just like had to look down and cheat at the little notebook it was written down, and you can see my eyes like drifting down, so it was obvious I was cheating. So I made that video private. I was just embarrassed. I really messed up, and happily I do know many more lines now. I knew all through this. I know like is it like 70 some lines by now, so I'm definitely will be doing a future sneak preview of that, even more lines than I knew back then last year, and hopefully redeeming myself because I just felt, why should I put out a video where I'm like really messing up? That wasn't my best day. I'm looking off camera to like cheat on the last tercet. It's just like we say, and not we, I'm not an ice skater myself, but again, the ice skating community, both fans and actual skaters, it doesn't matter how many wonderful awesome practices you've had. All that matters is how you perform on the day. So you could have had like 100 like perfect practices, and even like the dry runs in front of the judges before the competition started. But sometimes unfortunately when you get to the moment of your whatever competition it is, and the skater just freezes and starts like popping jumps and falling and doing like absolutely horrible, and just those good practices don't mean anything but if you didn't perform properly when it really mattered. And so that's what I felt about the video. But unlike ice skating, you do have a chance to have a do-over when it comes to a video. Number 9A, are the number of views / subscribers meaningful to you? Yes, I feel like, I wouldn't care if I only had 5 subscribers as long as they all regularly commented on all or most of my videos, or again, the number of views wouldn't matter as long as everyone viewing those videos were watching all the way through and leaving comments and likes and stuff like that. It's like, I wouldn't care if I had 1 million subscribers if like barely anyone was commenting. So it's just quality over quantity. So sometimes it doesn't really matter. I would love to have a more popular channel, of course, who wouldn't, but all I really want is for people to like be like friends with me and like have a more interaction in my community. That's what I've been hoping for the entire time I've been doing videos. Number 9B, are the number of views, subscribers a measurement of success? Yes, they are. Obviously the algorithm will promote your videos more if you have more views, and I've seen people in the comments on these how to improve your channel videos saying, oh, people who complain about the algorithm just aren't trying enough, and they're lazy, and they're blaming everyone else when they could be doing an exciting hook and spending 10 hours making the thumbnail and 1 hour of editing for each second of video, and just like having like spending thousands of bucks on lighting equipment and cameras and backgrounds and filming, and like the extra premium pro versions you spend like $300 a month to have. But unfortunately, well, we don't all have the same niche, and I realize like they have really good advice. Some of the channels on like Nick Nimmin and channel makers, I think Nate is the guy who does most of the channel maker videos, but some of their advice just seems geared towards non-booktube and non-authortube channels. Like, how am I going to put a hook in a tag video or answer a question? I'm answering many questions with my own observations, or like for example, like a haul video or a TBR, or just like what I'm planning to write for NaNoWriMo, or how I'm preparing my own personal project. How am I answering like someone else's, question for that? Or like, they might be better for like gaming or like a small business if you're like doing like questions about like playing a sport or like doing makeup or something like that. But when it's more of like a personal channel like on booktuber authortube, you can't always do the same things that works for channels with like a much different focus in mind. Number 10, are you disappointed by the growth on your channel? Yes, I really thought I would have a lot more active subscribers by this point. I mean, I never like was delusional enough to believe I would have like, thousands of subscribers or anything like that. But I just, was like watching these other people I like on BookTube and AuthorTube, and they have like so many more active subscribers. I thought, oh, maybe those people will all be commenting on my channel because they all seem to run in the same general crowd, and I'm commenting on their videos and participating in events they're doing. But unfortunately, just some people just, I'm not saying this is a bash or anything, but just some people, they feel more comfortable with their established friend group, and they're just like people on the outside have to like wait a long time before they're really noticed and given an invite into the in crowd or whatever. But again, it just really doesn't matter how many like subscribers and viewers I have, as long as they're all regularly commenting. Number 11, my lucky number. Have you ever thought about quitting BookTube? A number of times I have seriously thought about it because just not getting the number of views and comments, and it's just very, very frustrating, particularly when I take the little breaks for the nano months, and like people just don't seem to like notice I'm taking a break. Or other times when I put like longer time between videos, oh, I haven't watched, oh, you haven't put out videos for a while, are you okay? Or just, I'm wondering, are you taking a break or considering leaving? And like no one leaves comments like that when I don't make videos for a long time. So it kind of makes me feel like, why am I bothering? In particular, when I say in a video, I really like seeing comments from you guys. It makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time, and I want to have conversations and get to know more people on BookTube or AuthorTube, and people still don't leave any comments. Sometimes videos don't even get any likes, and it is kind of humiliating to see like flatlined views at a very low number, no comments, no likes, poor click-through rate, sometimes not even like 1% click-through, and a really low watch time. Like, why? It seems like 99% of people aren't watching my videos all the way through. So what am I doing wrong? Is it me, or is it them, or is it a combination? Or would it be better if I spent like 10 hours making a thumbnail, or invested boku bucks in like fancy lighting and filming equipment and like backup settings and stuff like that? But I am who I am. I'm never going to pretend to be someone I'm not just to get clicks. My very like straightforward, like from the hip, like straight shooting, brutally honest, blunt, working class way of speaking. I know that might like offend some people. It's not intended to be rude. Like if you've been socialized in the proletarian community, that's just how you talk. It's not intended to come across as like insulting people. It's just how we talk. We're not like fancy, cleaned up like rich people, or people in a bourgeois suburban housing development or something like that. Number 12A. What are the most touching comments? Well, I really love every comment I get, as long as they're polite. People say, oh, this, I really enjoyed this, I learned something from this, I'm going to check out this book, oh, this video meant a lot to me, I didn't think about this topic in that way. Just but I don't really get like too many comments. I wouldn't say, obviously I don't get like 0 comments, but I don't get nearly as many comments as I would like to. But it is really nice when I get a comment, like actually like acknowledging the time and effort I put into the video and making me feel like I didn't waste my time. Number 12B. What are the most negative comments? I got on my most viewed video by a landslide. It has like 14,000 some views. Currently, it was about the Romanovs who were murdered on the 17th and 18th of July in 1918, and what happens to them in my alternative history. I got a couple of rude comments from people saying, oh, stop waving your hand around, or don't talk with your hands. Like, seriously, like, you can get bent. Like, that's just how I talk. I'm an 8th Italian. Like, Italians talk with their hands. It's like a genetic and cultural thing. I wouldn't feel like myself if I had to like put my hands like on my sides or sitting on them during the entire video. I just talk with my hands and gesticulate and like mime when I'm talking about, like if I'm like talking about someone playing a violin, or like hugging her dog, like I was doing when I was reviewing a book, Voices from the Titanic, and sometimes it's not even like I'm not consciously doing it. I'm just like subconsciously making the movements of what I'm talking about when I'm like doing the video. So sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to stop talking with my hands. And I got a video, a comment which I deleted on my blog post about Nagasaki life after nuclear war, which I did, I believe, on the anniversary of the bombing of Nagasaki in 2022, August 9th. And this person said, we should have used more. Immediate delete. Like, my view, I'm sorry, not sorry, a hill I will die in, is that the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were disgusting, unethical war crimes, not excused by anything, and all the evidence, even back in the 1940s, like, proved they were not necessary, and the powers that be knew they weren't necessary either, which is why they worked so hard to, like, stifle dissent and say, oh, people who are questioning it, like, and on any level, oh, they're just un-American communist traitors, and oh, we have to shut them up and make it seem like we had to commit this disgusting war crime. But my views are not up for discussion. And when I did the Queen Elizabeth II book tag, which like, ironically, the lovely young lady Hannah, who made the tag, she like posted it, created it like before Her Majesty passed away. So it was like she was shocked when she was, you know, uploading it, the video, or shortly thereafter, and she saw the news Queen Elizabeth had like passed away. So it was, you know, particularly moving to, you know, do this tag. And you can go check it out and like do the tag yourself. It's never too late to do a tag if you really want to. And I got like a couple of downvotes, and one person again deleted, said Lizzie's in a box. Like, these people are like, oh, look at me all being so woke. This is the perfect time to say, remind people, oh, I don't like monarchy, and oh, I'm just going to bash a woman who's 96 years old who passed away, and oh, I'm going to like act like she was Queen Victoria, and oh, a violent, bloodthirsty colonialist dictator. Like, seriously, this is not the time and place to like talk about a bashing monarchy. That's your own thing. Like, just leave it out of the video. If you didn't like the Queen, or you don't like royalty in general, like, make your own video. Don't like leave rude comments on mine. And number 13, also one of my lucky numbers, partly to be oppositional defiant, because like I don't understand people who think 13 is an unlucky number. It's a very lucky number in many, you know, cultures and societies. In regards to BookTube, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Hopefully I will have a much more active community by that point, and I will have like more subscribers. It would be nice to have like 500 subscribers at some point, so I can, you know, finally do an AMA. Ask me anything in particular, because I've been, you know, promising for like pretty much the jump that I'm going to do a series of over 100 videos. At this point, I think like 115 would be like the bare minimum number based on everything that needs to be covered on the Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio. But I just feel like it would be like wasting a huge amount of time and effort and emotion if I like did the research and writing and gathering images and making the videos and editing and uploading and metadata and stuff like that if barely anyone is watching or commenting. So I just want to feel like my time is being spent in a worthwhile way. And so that was the end of the questions. Thank you guys very much for watching to the end. Hopefully this video wasn't too rambly or too long, but if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and dropping a like, and again, leaving a comment. I love seeing comments from you guys, and thanks again for watching. See you soon. Bye.